everybody. Welcome to Wander the Marble. I'm Margarite, and today I'm going to be talking to someone who is doing exactly what everybody has probably fantasized about. He has quit his job and decided to travel full-time, in this case around the United States. And not only has he decided to do that, but he is doing it with his wife and his two small children. And so the good part about this is that this particular person is a master storyteller, and he's documenting it along the way through something called the Family Geography Project. And so when I say he's a master storyteller, this is not hyperbole. This man has multiple Emmy Awards for his storytelling abilities. And so the fact that he's documenting this along the way, and he's going to bring these stories to us as he's on his journey, is just amazing. So help me welcome Greg Bledsoe. Greg, welcome.
Hi.
Thank you so much for taking the time out to talk to me. I am just so excited to be able to touch base with you and find out what you're doing. And I heard about this Family Geography Project. It popped up on my Facebook, and I was like, what is going on? What is this? Tell me exactly what this Family Geography Project is and how it came about.
Yeah. Okay. If you want the long story, I won't bore you for an hour, but I will tell you. So we had this idea a decade ago, basically. My wife and I just thought, what if we just drove around the country and tell stories? And my background is in TV, and I spent the first 20 years of my career with NBC in San Diego. And so, basically learning to shoot, write, and edit, and be on camera and off camera and all that. So we always thought it would be great to just drive around the country, get in our car and go and tell stories about the people we meet. Nowadays, everybody is doing some sort of travel vlog or so, but we had this idea long before anyone was doing it. And then life happens, and we bought a home, had kids, and just sort of settled in. And then a couple of years ago, started thinking about it again and pulled the trigger and did it. And we put it off for a year because of COVID. And I stuck around with NBC for a little while, but the genesis of it was a decade ago, and we're just finally getting around to doing it.
You were a very successful reporter, anchor at a television station in San Diego, NBC7, and very well liked, very, very well loved, awesome storyteller, multi-Emmy award winning journalist. And then you just say, okay, guys, I'm quitting.
I know.
What did everybody think of that? It's
nuts. I mean, to my face, everyone's been really supportive. I'm sure there are people who think we're totally crazy behind the scenes. And it's crazy. But we didn't want to wonder in 20 years why we didn't do it. And so we're doing it. And I have left what was a very good career and left on great terms. And I'm just so grateful to all the people at NBC who opened every door for me along the way and taught me everything I know. And I miss it, but we just needed to do this. I always tell people that, whatever it is, whatever your what if is, chase it down. So that's what we're doing this year. And it may or may not work out, but we're having a blast in the meantime.
When did you start? When was this journey?
We started March 28th, I think was the date. We didn't start posting stuff until a little bit later. I wanted to shoot some stories and get a little bit in the can, but I think our shove off date was March 28th. So we're about 4 months in right now. We hit 10,000 miles last week. So we're in Des Moines, Iowa at the moment. So 10,000 miles is not the most direct route. We've done a lot of zigzagging and back roads and ups and downs and all arounds to just make sure that we see everything we want to see, because we have the time. We're going to do this for a year, so we're not efficient in our route at all, but that's intentional.
And so you don't have a plan. Is that it, or do you have a plan?
Yes and no. I mean, we have a general route that we know we're going to go, and a lot of that is based on places we want to go and then weather. We don't have dates set for more than we try and plan about 30 days in advance, actually book the places we're going to stay. And we have some markers along the way, like, okay, we need to be in New York on X date for this, or we need to be in Chicago to see family at X date for this. But then a lot of the gaps in the middle, we just sort of fill in along the way and try and book things out again about 30 days out. So we know our general direction, and we know we want to hit every single state, and we know we want to take about a year to do it. But other than that, we've left it pretty loose by design, so that if something pops up or we meet someone, and this happens all the time, we meet someone who's like, oh, when you're in Wisconsin, make sure you check out this. And we're like, great, we don't know anything about Wisconsin. And then we can go there. So yeah, we're keeping it very loose as much as we can.
Okay. So I guess that was another question is you're getting around in your car. Yeah.
That's the other question everybody always asks us. We're like, oh, we're doing this year-long road trip. They're like, oh, cool. So you're in a big RV or you're in a Sprinter van? And we are not. We wanted to be pretty mobile, meaning we wanted to get in and out of cities. We're doing a lot of camping. We're, out in national parks, but we also wanted to, spend time in cities. So we thought about parking it. We're in a big SUV. We're in a Yukon. I feel like it's easy to drive. It's safe for the kids, and we didn't need a toilet in our car or an oven or a refrigerator. So we just kind of thought that an SUV was the best way. So it's maybe not as exciting as some cool van, but it really works for us.
So when you say us, this is you,
yeah,
your wife,
yeah,
and your two children.
2 young children. They're 3 and 6. And when we first thought about doing this 10 years ago, it probably would have been easier with the 2 of us. But I'm so glad that we waited, because now our kids get to live in this as well. And they're young, and so we have to tailor the trip accordingly. There are things that we can't do, or ways that we have to schedule things because kids get tired or hungry or need naps, or but they're troopers, and they've been really awesome along the way, and they've turned into hikers and great campers, and they love sleeping in the tent, and just skills that are things that I think that will serve them well for a while. And then we're doing school along the way as well. My wife is now a first grade teacher for our son. So they've been doing school along the way, which is, it's a living geography lesson. Every place we go, we learn about, and then he learns about. And so, he's getting really into American history and learning about the presidents. We went to Mount Rushmore. And so my wife sort of tailors a curriculum to the things that we're actually seeing. So it works out well. And I think that the lessons stick a little bit better than that, or better that way. So, sorry, long answer. We're doing this with 2 kids, and that can be a little bit more of a challenge, but I think it's very rewarding as well. And I'm glad we're doing it that way. And
so, you're not only just quit the job and decided to travel with the 2 kids, you're documenting it along the way. You're a master storyteller. I don't think anybody would argue with me. And if you do argue with me, come at me, bro. I'll fight you. No, I'm just kidding.
Don't fight her, but thank you. That's nice of you to say.
So you're documenting along the way, and tell me. I watched the stories on YouTube, and they're great. They're fantastic, and I think I just want to say that one of the things that I think that sets you apart from some of the other people who you would consider travel vloggers is that sometimes it's always about them, and this is a lot of the stories that you tell are very not about you, but about the places and the people. So tell me about what kinds of stories you're extracting from this trip.
Yeah, we had a conversation about that, my wife and I, before we left, and we didn't want it to be all about us, because there are a million other people out there telling the story of their family traveling around, and that's great. And I follow those people, and I love watching it. But I love telling other people's stories, and we thought that because that's where my background is, that's something unique we can bring to the table, that we know how to tell stories about other people. So that's what this is. We're telling a lot of stories about the people we meet along the way, the places we go. It is about us as well, because we're part of this journey, and you'll see our family occasionally pop up in the stories, and maybe even more so in the future, because I think it's really fun when I do work them in. So we might do a little bit more of that. But overall, this is about the people we meet, what they have to teach us, and then passing that along to whoever is following along. We've said at the get-go, we want to learn on this trip, but we also want whoever follows along to learn right along with us, which I hope is happening. And people will message us and say, oh, no way, I didn't know that. And I'm like, yeah, me neither. Cool, we learn together.
Right. So do you have a favorite story that you've done so far? Because you're slowly trickling them out. This is obviously a new channel.
Yeah.
You're slowly trickling them out. And there's not too many, but of the ones you've already done, what is your favorite?
I'll tell you, one of my favorite subject matters was the banana slugs. We were sleeping in these old cabins. They're like 100 years old in the Mendocino woodlands in Northern California. Outside of our cabin in the morning, I saw these long yellow slugs, like 9 inches long. Oh yeah. I don't know how big. Yeah. Like 8-9 inches long. And if you live in Northern California, apparently this is no big deal. And you see these things if you live in the redwoods, and they're abundant. But if you're not from there and you see these for the first time, you're like, what in the world is that? And I was so fascinated that when I saw these, the only camera I had on me was my phone, of course, in my pocket. And so I just started shooting little videos of these slugs, and it was looking really cool. And I loved it. And my family was making fun of me because I just got so into these banana slugs. But I love the backstory of it, that it's a story that we stumbled into, that it was something I didn't know anything about. So I learned something, that we used our phone to shoot it, which I think is really cool. And it's just, so that's one of my favorites for a lot of reasons. But right there.
Oh, no, I would say that it's my favorite. So I think
cool.
I think the visuals are beautiful, and I just marvel at the fact that you shot that on an iPhone. Most of your stories are between 2 and 5 minutes, maybe that.
2 to 3. So.
And so I, after watching a lot of them, I'm starting to kind of sense that there's a little bit of a theme going on.
Yeah, through the part of the country that we were traveling through, that a lot of those stories have come out. We were camping a lot. We were, in a lot of national parks. Obviously, we're very outdoorsy, and so that those issues are close to our heart. And the people that we were finding and the issues we were running into happened to be that theme that during the California and Oregon stretch of this trip is intentional, because that's what we were surrounded with. But basically, we want the stories to be about whatever we are learning and wherever we are in the moment. So the theme will probably change throughout the year, but yeah, it's been very environmental so far. And
so is so far you've been, let's see, April, May, June, July, so 4-ish months that you've been on the road. Is it what you expected?
Yeah, it's been everything I expected and more. But there's a lot of work, and it's hard to find time to do that work because we're with each other as a family all day. Nobody's going off to school. Nobody, there are no nannies involved here. So a lot of the times, by the time I get a chance to sit down and edit or go through anything, it's 11 o'clock at night, and I'm setting up my laptop in front of the campfire. So those are some of the challenges, is just getting the work done and having the time to go through everything. But the stories that we're finding and the people that we're meeting, even the ones that we're not doing anything with, just talking to, have been even better than I expected. And the places we've seen and the camp spots we've been staying at. I mean, yeah, just everything as advertised and more.
Do you have a way so that if somebody's watching this and they're like, oh, if he ever comes to Nebraska, he needs to come and do a story about that? Do you have a way for people to contact you and give you tips on, hey, maybe to give you story ideas? Is there a way to do that?
Yeah, I mean, so I'm on Instagram all the time, so people can message me through there. But that's such a big help, and it's because it's really hard to find stories in advance about a place that you don't live and that you've never been. And it happens occasionally, but a lot of the times we're stumbling into these, which is great and very serendipitous and magical, but it's also stressful because we've gone to a few states so far where I just haven't had a story. And we've shot some fun videos along the way, but there will be states where I just don't have anything because we were there for 4 days and nothing came about. So yeah, if people know a part of the country with a really interesting story to tell, just shoot me a message on any social media platform. We are all out there, or you're welcome to pass along my email as well to people.
What are you looking forward to most in the coming?
Not being done. The further we get into this, I'm like, oh, I don't want it to end. We have no idea what is going to happen after this year is over. But that's also kind of the fun of it, right? I know that would stress a lot of people out, and I definitely have my moments where I'm like, oh my gosh, what are we doing? What's happening next? But it's exciting to just not know. It's been a while as you get older that you have fewer of those chapters of your life that are so uncertain. And I haven't had one in a while, so this feels refreshing and scary at the same time.
Awesome. So, okay, probably everybody is sitting here wondering, how on earth are you able to afford this? Because everybody's got that dream. I just want to pick up and I want to just travel full time. And for a lot of people, it's not financially feasible. So yeah. Is that an okay question to ask? I mean,
totally. Yeah. I mean, and this may not be our most financially responsible decision we ever make, and it may put off retirement for a few years. But yeah, we started this trip thinking, wouldn't it be great if we could do this and then someone else would foot the bill for it? And so we wrote up a big proposal. We sent it out to a bunch of companies that we thought it was a good fit for. We came very close with one very big one. It was looking like it was going to happen, and this was the week before the shutdown in March of 2020.
Oh no!
So, which is fine. I mean, everybody had to change gears at that point, and we put off our trip. So, yeah, we thought that maybe we would get someone on board. That didn't turn out to happen. So we thought, okay, let's just leave. We'll do this because once we have something to show people, then they'll get a better idea of what we're doing and if it's a good fit for them. And we'll, use savings in the meantime, which is what we've done. But now when we pitch to people or we talk to people, we can say, here's what we're doing. Now you get a little bit better idea. Does this content work for you? And we actually have what looks like it may be a deal. I won't say any names or anything because nothing is inked. But there may be a time very soon where, one, we'll start getting paid for this, and two, we'll be able to reach a bigger audience, and hopefully more people will be learning from the stories that we're learning from. So that's how we're affording it so far, has been savings and being very, very careful about how we're not staying in fancy hotels for the last 4 months. We do a lot of camping and a lot of cooking at the campsites. And then when we need to, right now we're in an apartment in Iowa. We do this from time to time for a couple nights so we can get laundry done and bathe the kids and watch a movie or,
take a hot shower.
Yeah. And do regular life for a few days. We've stayed with family. We've stayed with friends along the way. So, no, we don't have $1 million sitting in our bank account that we're just able to do whatever we want for the year. But we did take a bit of a financial risk to do this on our own, and hopefully it will pay off, that somebody will see the value in this and want to actually pay us for that. And if it doesn't at the end of the year, then we will be, we'll each have 4 jobs and we'll be working until we're 90.
Well, I hope that doesn't happen. So do you have any advice for anybody who might be thinking about doing this, following in your footsteps?
That's a good question. And I'm sure at the end of the year, I can write a book on it. Pack light. we way overpacked, and we've been shedding stuff along the way. Anytime we see family or friends, we're leaving a bag with them because we just brought too much stuff. You don't need, like any vacation or any trip, you don't need what you think you need. So we packed a lot of stuff that we don't need, and now we've figured that out a little bit along the way. Planning is key, but it's also fun to not plan all the time. I don't ever want to pull into a town and we have no idea where we're sleeping that night, but it is nice to have a week or two in advance that we don't know where we're going to be. And so, like I said, we do try and keep it loose because that adds to the spontaneity of it. If we see something that we want to go to, we have the freedom to do that. I
can't wait to see what else you have coming.
Me neither.
And it's really exciting and good to see you out there. Good to see you out there telling stories. So I know that is what you were born to do.
Thanks. So, and that's what we feel too. And if nothing else, at the end of this year, we will have answered our what if and gotten better at our craft, and then we'll just take it from there.
Is there a story real quick that you want to pitch that isn't out yet? Maybe that you want to talk about that's coming up? When
are you posting this? So I have one coming up this week about the smallest park in the world. And it is mind-blowingly small. We did one, this will come out in a few weeks. We camped on a cattle ranch in Montana, and this is very, like something that you run into. And the guy who ranches it's 2,000 acres, and he came up and talked to us, and he said, yeah, I don't ranch. Everyone does ATVs nowadays. I still ride horseback, and we do it the old school way. Do you want to come along in the morning? So we brought our car and, put the drone up over him, and we got to go on a cattle drive and talk about why this guy still does it the old way. You look for those coming up. Those were fun and beautiful or quirky and funny.
Fun. I can't wait to see that. Maybe I'll try to get this out as soon as possible. So, people will, I don't know, they'll pitch it, whatever.
They're not going anywhere. They'll sit up there forever. So.
Okay. Perfect. Well, Greg, thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy day to talk to me, and good luck on your journeys.
Thank you. My pleasure, by the way. And it's great to see you, and hopefully much more to come.
And you can check out Greg's YouTube channel. It's called the Family Geography Project. Subscribe to him, subscribe to Wander the Marble, because we're going to be doing some stories behind the stories. So click on that little notification thing so that you get notified when there's a new episode. And thanks for watching Wander the Marble. I'm Margarite. We'll see you next time.